Now, I understand the Mercury is on the move, but at least it's not moving backwards, right?
No, actually, it's getting back to the place that it should have been before it retrograded. So that's pretty good news, to tell you the truth. Mercury is in the sign of Cancer. For Cancer, it's the sign that we're in. It means that they discover their voice. They have been having to keep quiet for the last 2 or 3 months or so, and it's really not their style to do that. So with Mercury entering their sign, communication is restored for Cancers, and they get to say what's been on their mind, what they've been holding back, which is a pretty cool thing, I think. For Leos, it is time for them to be very, very careful with their words, to pick and choose them carefully. Although Mercury is not retrograde, when it's in your 12th house, a lot of times you blurt out things that are really the way you feel, but they're more things that you should think and not say. So you have to be careful, otherwise you'll find yourself eating your own words down the road, which is never any good. So, yeah, I know. And it's hard. It's like bite your finger kind of thing. Put your fingers in your mouth and just be quiet. For Virgos, it is time to tap their female friends and colleagues to ask for their help, to ask for their assistance, to say, okay, what can you, the group, do for me, the Virgo? And it needs to be a quid pro quo. The Virgo needs to be able to give something back to the group, but it really is more about getting younger people in your group to do your bidding. For Libras, it's in their 10th house of career and public standing. It's worried about a promotion, an increase in responsibility, a better job, some sort of act. And if you don't get a better job with more money, you at least get some sort of pat on your back or attaboy, that somebody notices the job that you have been doing. So I personally prefer cash, but I take an attaboy.
So does Andrew.
And Nikki, too. Attaboy would do. For Scorpio, it's in their 9th house of the law. Legal matters, educational matters, important matters at a distance. And if Scorpio, if you're going to beg for mercy, you should do it in person. You get a better result when you're on your knees in person looking very sincere. And Hillary Clinton should take note of that. For Sagittarians, it's in their 8th house of other people's resources, other people's money. It's time for a state of the finance check. It's time for an accounting. And it's time for the Sagittarian to look around instead of going, I need more, to look around and try and find a way to maximize their existing resources rather than seeking out new ones. For Capricorns, it's in their 7th house of partners, and their partners have feelings too, which comes as a big surprise to Capricorns. And then the partners are more likely to be vocal about what has been bothering them, rather than thinking, if you really love me, you would just know, because Capricorns are pretty oblivious to that. For Aquarians, it's in their 6th house of work and responsibility, and it's time for Aquarians to buckle on down and simply do their job. Instead of worrying about everybody else doing everybody else's job, Aquarians, do your job to the very best of your ability, and you'll get a good result. And some obstacle that had been in your way gets out of your way over the next 3 weeks or so, giving you a clearer career progression. For Pisces, it's in their 5th house of love affairs, children, sports, amusements, pleasures, and it's either children are likely to make you proud, or a new creative venture, a child of your mind you're likely to give birth to. And so remember, things you give birth to can take on a life of their own, and got to be responsible for them. For Aries, it's in their 4th house of home, and they really need to clean things up at home, straighten things out at home, make repairs. And Aries, when you're dealing with water issues, for God's sake, do it right the first time, because nothing can ruin a house quicker than water. So that's really what they're headed for. For Tauruses, it's in their 3rd house of day-to-day living. The pace of their day-to-day living is about to pick up. They're going to get even more on their plate. They had a little bit of a break, but they could take a little bit of time off. Well, that's over. And now, and I imagine for Pat, Christmas Wish is probably going to start up pretty soon, too.
It won't be long. We're working on the website now.
Right, and that's the picking up the pace of their day-to-day living. So it'll be a challenge for them to incorporate all of it. And then for Gemini, the last sign, it's in their 2nd house of money. It's about, how do I make more money? And Geminis in particular are ruled by the planet Mercury, so it's a matter of how can they use their words or their brain rather than their back to make more money, because that's really what their objective is. They have more month at the end of their money, and they really need to have more money at the end of their month. So that's tomorrow's news today for the 12 signs of the zodiac, with Mercury, the planet of communication, entering the sign of Cancer.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll see you next week.
Always a pleasure.